Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Friends, today we are going to look at mindfulness. The word mindfulness is the English translation of the Pali word sati. Sati is found in many suttas given by the Buddha as well as other monastics. Two very important suttas on this subject are found in the Digha Nikaya, or the long discourses of the Buddha, as the Maha Satipatthana Sutta. In the Digha Nikaya, it is Maha Satipatthana Sutta, the greater discourse on the foundations of mindfulness. And in the Majjhima Nikaya, the middle-length discourses of the Buddha as the Satipatthana Sutta. The Maha part is not there. And it is translated as the foundations of mindfulness. Samma Sati, or right mindfulness, is the seventh factor in the Noble Eightfold Path. Right mindfulness is the first factor in the 7 factors of enlightenment. Those are called the Bojjhangas. There can be 2 kinds of mindfulness, right and wrong. Today we'll deal with right mindfulness. The opposite of mindfulness is mindlessness, which is named autopilot. For most of the time, we just act as the mind dictates. It's an inactive state of mind, not very active, because we just do what the mind tells us to do. That is, eating without realizing or watching TV. We just push our food as fast as possible. Eat even when one is not hungry. Eat bad foods and overeat because of mindlessness. Or in certain situations, just follow the crowd. When acting mindlessly, people become insensitive to subtle changes that may happen in any situation or crisis. Though they do not realize it, they behave like robots, for they are influenced by the past. Now, for instance, if you had an argument sometime in the past, or you were hurt, or think you were insulted by someone, when you meet that person again, even after a long time, you bring that situation in the past to the present and feel anger or hatred or resentment and react negatively. If we mindfully look at ourselves, we'll discover how we are governed by greed, hatred, and ignorance. People also become mindless when they accept things from hearsay or by reading without questioning. We drain our energy by spending too much time planning or problem solving or daydreaming. Thinking negative thoughts can be very stressful and make one anxious and even depressed. Mindlessness is also due to our selfishness and ego, and sometimes holding on to our opinions even after being proved wrong. Unwise attention to a sign of beauty may lead to wrongdoing by speech or action, causing damage and hurting or even breaking up close relationships or marriage. Even in the West, mindfulness is a popular practice, but their goals may differ from the Buddhist practice of mindfulness. Stress reduction, increasing one's memory, competence, health, longevity, and creativity. Focusing in your work are some of the aims that are expected from mindfulness in the West. Reading about the experiences of the arahants or the enlightened beings, we see that mindful practice has rewarded them with all these things and many more profitable and positive results. This is an activity. Mindfulness is an activity, and therefore it's necessary to consciously practice mindfulness in order to gain the full benefit from it. This factor cannot be taken in isolation, for one of the functions of right mindfulness is knowing and developing the 8 factors of the Noble Eightfold Path. See, when you develop right mindfulness, you will be developing the Noble Eightfold Path. In the Majjhima Nikaya, the middle-length discourses of the Buddha, he said that sati is the ability to grasp in mind 100 or 1,000 phrases as they are being spoken. You know, written texts were very rare at that time. So it was always speech, something that you listen to and then you take it in. So sati was supposed to be the ability to grasp about 100 or 1,000 phrases by listening to somebody. Gati is the ability to bind them together, to put them together, the ideas that you have taken, and retain them in the mind. Then Diti is the ability to to recite back what has been grasped and retained. You see, so when you have listened to someone, you grasp it, then you put them together, then later on you are able to say those things to somebody else also. Those are 3 skills. Now the 4th skill is the ability to discern the meaning of those phrases. Unless you can understand the meaning of something, it is useless just repeating phrases. Mindfulness reminds us of what our duty is, or what we are expected to do. Mindfulness sees things as they really are, without any bias or prejudice. And it sees the true nature of all phenomena. Mindfulness also suggests when, where, and to what object we should focus our mind and the energy we should put into it. So you can see mindfulness alone is not the only thing that we should practice. We need energy also to practice mindfulness. When our mindfulness is properly developed, we will understand that our present life is shaped by our past karma and our present karma. It's not, now some people think that it is due to the past karma only that whatever suffering or good that comes to us is due to our past karma. It's our past karma, all right, but added to it is the present karma too. So if we have done good in the present also, naturally, we would have a better living. So Buddha advises us to live mindfully and clearly comprehending. Now these are 2 words in Pali. Sati, that is mindfulness. Clearly comprehending is sampajanya. Sati and sampajanya, right? So Buddha says that you have to use both of those. According to the Sangyutta Nikaya, there is a section called the Satipatthana Sangyutta. There are 4 ways of being mindful. Now, one is clear comprehension of purposefulness. That is called Sattaka Sampajanya in Pali. Seeing clearly if the intended action is a worthy one. Now, we could do something that is not of no use. We could also do something that is very useful. So you have to know the purpose of doing something. Then the second one is clear comprehension of suitability. That is called Sappaya Sampajanya. That is seeing clearly and having a suitable means of achieving one's aim. That is, you must have a certain plan of doing whatever you want to do, and it must be something good, not something bad, not to do something bad to some other person even. So this should not harm oneself or others, whatever you want to do. Then the third one is clear comprehension of the means we use as our resort or refuge or domain. Now this is called Gochara Sampajanya. Those of you who are used to the Satipatthana Sutta may have come across this. This resort or Gochara is mindfulness, nothing else, which knows why we are engaged in that particular activity. Now you can see we are talking of positive actions, not negative ones. Then the fourth one is clear comprehension as non-delusion. That is asammoha sampajanya. Moha is ignorance. Asammoha is non-delusion. Seeing deeply and keenly that whatever one's actions, they are conditioned processes or happen due to a cause. There is no self doing it. Though we think I am doing it or that one is doing it or something like that, right? No self. Sati and Sampajanya usually come together in the suttas. Sati is mindfulness that is able to know what needs to be done, and Sampajanya or clear comprehension means one is clearly aware of one's actions, words, and thoughts, and their consequences, the results, so that one could do them skillfully. Mindfulness is compared to a gatekeeper in the king's frontier fortress. He is wise, competent, and intelligent. He knows to keep out strangers and admit only acquaintances for protecting the inhabitants. Similarly, Buddha says one should be mindful and alert, Atapi in the Satipatthana Sutta, and remember and recollect what was done and said long ago. This doesn't mean remembering something bad about another person or something bad that was said by another person. This means the Dhamma. Like the gatekeeper, one should abandon the unwholesome and develop the wholesome. In this way, one is guarded, protected, and successful in all one's activities. Whether in the mundane world or in the homeless life, if one is not provoked or excited through lust or hate or delusion, that one does not tremble or become terrified or swayed by others. You see, nobody can sort of get you to do what they want you to do if you have mindfulness. The Buddha shows that there are many ways of getting intoxicated, not only by alcohol or drugs. They could be, these intoxication can be done by or due to youth. Because you are young, you think you are going to be young always. Health, life, birth, gains, honor, respect, beauty, learning, etc. These are some of the things that can intoxicate a person. Not all of them by one person, but different people will have different ideas about these things, right? To overcome these defilements, the 4 foundations of mindfulness should be developed. The 4 foundations are contemplating the body in the body, feelings in feelings, mind in mind, phenomena in phenomena, clearly comprehending mindfully. Phenomena means hindrances, aggregates, elements, etc. This contemplation is done with mindfulness, and we become aware of our bodily sensations, mental formations or thoughts, feelings, and the mental objects like the hindrances, etc. You know the hindrances, there are 5 of them, like sensual desire, ill will, sleepiness or sloth and torpor, restlessness and worry, and doubt. The Pali words are Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana. So, contemplating mindfulness practice is being 100% honest with ourselves. You know that we ourselves, we deceive ourselves quite often. And when you're mindful, if you're practicing mindfulness correctly, you would be 100% honest to yourself too. Contemplating body in body is watching the in-breath and out-breath keenly, closely, and mindfully. Then one would see the rising and falling, and the pause in between. Even while breathing, you will find that the breath alters, becomes short or long, warm or cool, becomes calm and tranquil. Whole body breathes in and out, etc. By watching closely, one becomes aware of impermanence. So when you see the changes that happen in the breath itself, then you realize what the body is like. And you come to understand very well that this is not permanent. This is going to change, and already it is changing, right? This knowledge is not obtained from a book or by listening to another, but through one's own experience. The more one sees this impermanence, one becomes independent and unattached to the 5 aggregates. You know the 5 aggregates: form, feeling, perceptions, volition, consciousness. Similarly, one could become fully aware of feelings. Whatever the feelings, whether pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, carnal or non-carnal, understand it and let it go. Looking at the mind, one sees whether it has lust or not, ill will or not, deluded or not, distracted or not, and be unattached. So you can see each section is given by the Buddha in the Satipatthana Sutta, and how to look at it. While living in the world, it's possible to increase one's awareness and mindfulness by paying attention well, slowing down and noticing things, taking time to experience your environment with all your senses. Gardening is a good way to practice mindfulness. You could pay attention to weather conditions, climate, the life around, like animals, etc. Finding joy in simple pleasures. Now, these are some of the ways for worldly people who are living in the world, doing jobs and having children and spouse and home and all that, for people like that, these are some of the ways in which you could practice mindfulness. Now, finding finding joy in simple pleasures. Live in the present moment without going to the past or the future all the time. You know that is what we do all the time, that we go to the past and live in the past, or plan and live in the future. Our present moment just passes away, so that we are not really living. Anyway, accept yourself and treat yourself as you would treat a good friend. When negative thoughts come, sit down and focus on your breath. Don't keep focusing on the negative thoughts. When planning something, give total attention to whatever you are doing. Even if it's a menial thing, just like washing dishes or something, give your total attention. Thich Nhat Hanh says that you can wash dishes very quickly, very well, but without mindfulness. If you are mindful, then also you will be washing dishes, but you will know that you are washing dishes with awareness, right? So, when you know what you are doing, if one has anxiety to relax its hold on you, just accept it. Then you can easily let go of self-blame or shame. You get anxious because of something like that. So you can easily give it up if you accept that you are having anxiety. Be happy to be alive and enjoy the satisfaction that comes from showing kindness, compassion to others, understanding and saying the correct things during the day. Just as mindfulness serves in worldly life, it's even more useful to a meditator. The spiritual life is lived with the training as its benefit, wisdom as its supervisor, liberation as its core, and with mindfulness as its authority, so that mindfulness looks after everything. In mindfulness meditation, one watches the universe or the world within, internal, one's own body and mind, and not the external universe. While meditating, if your mind wanders away from the object, which may be the breath, mindfulness brings our mind back to the object. Unlike consciousness, now, consciousness, we give so much of time to our consciousness, right? Unlike consciousness, which colors our experience by adding ideas, plans, worries, fears, etc. That is what my consciousness does. Mindfulness just notices exactly what arises in the mind at a given moment. Mindfulness is the truthful way of telling us, here it is, this is what is happening. But consciousness adds all kinds of things, right? mindfulness cannot be forced, but if we use the correct amount of energy at the right time and gently focus our mind towards whatever the object under consideration, it would grow and make us wiser. So, you can't force mindfulness into your mind. What you have to do is, slowly, gently allow it to come and, practice it in that way, not forcefully. When our mindfulness has blossomed out, we'll be able to see and understand the self or ego that we have been so tirelessly guarding. We'll see our own suffering and that it's created by this self. We hurt others, utter untruths, and judge and criticize people because of this sense of I and me, or the ego. Mindfulness will expose our hidden defilements. This knowledge that we gain through the practice of mindfulness in meditation should be carried to our daily living. That is, when driving a car, one may notice the sound of the tires against the gravel, even the feel of the seat against your body, the side scenes that you never noticed, even the flowering bushes or trees on either side, pedestrians, even the blue sky and the sunshine. All these things, you have missed so far. But if you are mindful, you might see all those things and really enjoy the drive instead of criticizing and, getting angry with the one in front and with the one at the back, So, taking a shower, washing dishes, typing something, also you could be mindful. In the Samyutta Nikaya, there is a comparison of a bhikkhu's enlightenment to the hatching of chicks. You might wonder how on earth this was said by the Buddha. But you can see how well it is expressed. Now, this is what the Buddha says. Now, the hen, before sitting on the eggs to hatch them, has a lot of preparatory work to be done, right? So the hen does all those things, get the eggs together and, so that she can sit on them all without missing any, and so on and so forth. Just like that, the hen's preparatory work is like the bhikkhu's devotion to his initial development. That is the virtue. The virtue part has to come first, whether it's a monastic or whether it's a lay person. The non-rotting, some of the eggs, if they are not under the hen, they will rot. The non-rotting of the eggs, that is not a single will rot if the hen is careful, is like the bhikkhus not falling away from insight meditation and mindfulness. The drying up of the moisture in the eggs is like the drying up of attachment to the three realms of existence. That is the sensuous realm, the form realm, and the formless realm. The thinning of the eggshells is like the thinning of ignorance for the bhikkhu. The maturation of the chicks is like the maturation of insight knowledge for the bhikkhu. The time when the chicks break the shells and come out safely is like the time when the bhikkhu totally breaks the shell of ignorance. Earlier, he was able to only weaken it. Now, he totally gets rid of ignorance and attain arahantship. And as the chicks go about adorning the field, so the great arahant enters into fruition attainment, which takes nibbana as its object and thus adorns the monastery. You know, taking the object as nibbana means earlier he had the breath as the object. Now that he has come up so far, now he takes the final object as nibbana. So now we come to the end of what I have to tell you about mindfulness. I hope you have some questions. If you have any, please ask. You don't have any questions, right?
Sister, what is the number of the sutta in the Samyutta Nikaya about the hen?
Actually, it is in the Samyutta Nikaya, the Satipatthana section.
Okay.
You can find it easily.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Right. Then shall we? Now, I was thinking today, now that we have done mindfulness, we will do a little meditation on mindfulness. How about that?
Okay, that's good.
Okay. So now, I don't have to tell you, you know how to sit down properly. Take a few deep breaths. And then close your eyes. I'll be giving a little explanation as I go on. So don't get confused. But listen carefully and then focus your mind on what I do tell you. Now, mindfulness meditation has 4 sections. Mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of feelings, mindfulness of mind, and mindfulness of mental objects. Mindfulness of the body is seeing the body as it is now, in this moment. Seated, maybe on a chair, or cross-legged on the cushion, the spine straight with the neck and head. And there may be other contacts with the body, that is the cushion or chair, the air around you, breathing in and out, all that is contact. Look at your body as it is seated there. It's interesting to know that air enters the whole body through the pores in the body. Though we are wearing clothes, actually air enters the body. not only through the nostrils. See the breath well. See if it's a short breath or long breath. What kind of breath is it? Warm, cool, long, short? See it very carefully. Now experiencing the whole body. Breathe in and out. Now see if the body is tranquil and calm. With the air entering and going out, see the rising and the falling. Just be mindful that there is a body. Relax both body and mind. Be calm. Let go of all thoughts, feelings, etc. Just concentrate on the body. See how your hands are placed, your feet are placed, how you are seated, whether the spine is straight. Look at your body. Try to understand it. Now let us take a look at the parts of the body from the soles of the feet up to the top of the head. You'll find head hairs, body hairs, nails, teeth, skin, flesh, sinews, bones, bone marrow, kidneys, heart, liver, look at the places where you think they are. Lungs, large intestine, small intestine, undigested food in the stomach, feces, phlegm, pus, blood, sweat, fat, tears, grease, saliva, urine. Now see, these are the parts of the body. This is contemplating body in the body. Okay, friends, let's meet on the 16th next.